Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to explore with you ways to light our inner fire of wisdom. We all feel lost in the chaos of life. The bombardment of information from the outside world, the influence of social media and daily stresses. All this makes it difficult to access the deep wisdom within us. But know that this wisdom is within each and every one of us. We just need to find it and light its fire. Here today, I will offer you tools, techniques, and thoughts to guide you. We will explore what we need to do to listen to our inner voice, strengthen our intuition, and unlock our true potential. Are you ready? Let's embark on this journey together. Remember that when you light the fire of your inner wisdom, you will have the power to transform your life. Let's start now. We live in a world that teaches us to chase temporary pleasures, to measure our worth by what we have achieved. We are told that true happiness is somewhere in the future, always just beyond our grasp. And so we run, trying to catch the shadows, only to find our hands empty and our souls weary. But here I offer you a different path. A path steeped in the wisdom of the ages, but always new, always current. Today we are not talking about temporary joys, but about lasting peace. Instead of looking for success outside, we are talking about discovering the invincible spirit that resides deep within each of you. I invite you on a journey, not to distant lands, but to the vast and often uncharted territory of your own being. Here in silence, you will discover the truth that the sages have whispered for thousands of years, the secret you have carried within you since the day you were born. I tell you that within you is an infallible compass, a source of wisdom untouched by the chaos of life. Direct your steps in the right direction to listen to that voice that wants to reach your goal and gain unshakable inner strength. But you may be feeling that your shoulders are slumped, that you are enveloped in an overwhelming fatigue that goes far beyond physical fatigue. This is not because of the burdens you are carrying in your physical body, but because of the weights you are putting on your soul. We all know that our body has a limited weight-bearing capacity, and the more weight we put on it, the more it crushes us. But our soul has a different story. Our soul may seem to have an unlimited capacity. But when this unlimited capacity is filled with the wrong burdens, it can take away our joy of life, our happiness, and even our purpose of self-realization. In fact, everything is about our choices. Even heaven and hell are shaped by our choices. When we choose what is right, we abandon what is wrong. When we choose what is bad, we give up what is good. In short, every choice is a renunciation. Imagine yourself sitting in this symbolic restaurant called life. The menu is vast and ever-changing, full of choices that shimmer and tempt. Ambition and success are dishes garnished with promises of wealth and recognition. There are plates of pleasure overflowing with instant gratification and ephemeral delicacies. And there are simpler offerings tucked away in corners, perhaps a little harder to find. Like plates of kindness, connection, and quiet contemplation. Now, the trick is that you can't order everything. Every choice has a cost, sometimes overt, sometimes hidden. The plate of ambition may require endless hours and relentless sacrifices, leaving little room on your plate for family or personal growth. The pleasure plate, while tempting, can lead to permanent emptiness and the neglect of more nutritious meals. The Stoics understood this deeply. While we cannot always control what goes on our menu, it is important to be aware of our power to choose. And as we have just pointed out, every choice necessarily means saying no to something else. This is where the question of what's best for me becomes deeply important. But how do we answer this question? How do we discern what is really best amidst the clamor of desire, fear, and societal expectations? This is where the practice of Stoicist philosophy becomes invaluable. The Stoicists believed in organizing our choices according to the virtues of wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage. Let's see how these can guide our orders in our metaphorical restaurant. Wisdom reminds us to look beyond superficial appearances and instant gratification. It asks us to consider the long-term consequences of our choices. Does the pursuit of wealth or fame align with our deepest values? Are we sacrificing our integrity or peace of mind for a temporary sense of achievement? Justice calls us to be fair both to ourselves and to others. Are our choices motivated by compassion and a sense of common humanity, or do they feed our own ego at the expense of the welfare of others? The virtue of temperance is about balance. Do we consume our lives in endless effort and ambition, neglecting simpler pleasures and connections? Does our pursuit of pleasure blind us to the need for self-discipline? Courage, to choose the difficult but right thing. The willingness to stand up for our beliefs, even if they are unpopular, is a sign of strong character. Do we have the courage to turn down tempting options that we know will ultimately harm us? By asking these questions, guided by these unwavering principles, we begin to transform our relationship with the menu of life. It is no longer about blind desire or impulsive acceptance of whatever is put in front of us. It becomes about consciously choosing to build a meal that both nourishes our soul and reflects our deepest values. Yes, there is always an element of giving up, of accepting that we can't have it all. But the freedom and fulfillment found in this focused choice far outweighs the restless hunger of trying to savor every dish. It's the difference between leaving a restaurant bloated and unsatisfied and feeling satisfied, knowing that we made a good choice. Sometimes we crave something else, but our wiser inner voice tells us to choose something else. Remember, after some bad events or bad choices, we wish we had listened to our inner voice. If you have silenced your inner voice or become deaf to its wisdom, you have given up the spiritual light that can help you find your way through the darkness. I know very well the deep torment of this disconnection, because everyone gets lost in their own world from time to time. In his own country, in his own city, in his own neighborhood, even in his own home. When we walk through life deaf to the wisdom of our own heart, we are doomed to be lost even within our own being. This is indeed a profound lack of sensitivity. So let's talk not just about techniques or practices, but about a deeper truth. Let us examine the stories and the philosophy together. If my words resonate, if the healing essence of philosophy interacts with your own essence, then perhaps it can help you find your way to the source of your own power. The Stoics did not see our inner voice as a mystical creature, a separate entity that lives within us. Rather, it is an aspect of our own nature, the culmination of reason, instinct, and the subtle echoes of long-past experiences. Some call it our daimon, our guiding spirit. Yet it is not a spirit separate from ourselves, but the truest expression of who we are. Imagine your mind as a vast and fertile field. Your thoughts are seeds blown by the winds of daily life. Some take root, others wither away. The quality of the harvest, the fruits of your actions and perceptions depend on the quality of these seeds. Often these seeds are sown by the outside world. The demands of others, the temporary temptations of society, the fears born of ignorance. The resulting product leads to a state of confusion when a true understanding of ourselves is lost. To hear your inner voice, you must first become a careful gardener of this mental field. This is where Stoic philosophy shines as a guiding light. The Stoics knew that the greatest obstacles to our development are not external misfortunes, but the destructive emotions we harbor within. Anger, uncontrolled desire, jealousy, despair. These are the weeds that choke wisdom. Consider a simple example. You are in a setting and a person sitting at a table close to you is talking about you. He looks at your face and mocks you. As if that were not enough, he raises his voice and says some poisonous words of contempt. The natural first reaction is sadness, but it lasts for such a short time that the mind, in order to suppress this emotion, fuels your anger, creating a tight knot in your chest. This is where your anger shapes your perception. If it happened exactly at this time, congratulations, your choice is now determined by anger. Because the mind gets lost in the fire and you get angry and cause unnecessary suffering to yourself and others. In those moments you are disconnected from your inner voice. The antidote, then, is not a token call to positive thinking, but a rigorous discipline of self-awareness. The Stoics paid unwavering attention to their thoughts and feelings. They named their passions in minute detail, observing their origins and consequences. In this relentless self-examination, they have learned a vital truth. These passions are not you. They are storms that rise and pass, clouds that cover the clear sky of the mind. With this insight comes a new power. You cannot destroy emotions because that is neither possible nor desirable, but you can create a space between the surging emotion and your reaction. In that space lies the freedom to choose, even in just one breath. You can choose not to feed the anger, but to direct your attention to the principles you hold dear. Compassion, perhaps, reminds you of the common humanity that binds you to the person who caused the offense. A sense of justice may be ignited and push you to handle the situation with clarity and dignity without resorting to the same pettiness. Or you may simply see the absurdity of the situation. A sense of humor rises like a cool breeze and dissipates the tension. But there is something absolutely wrong, isn't there? That person has messed with us, insulted us, humiliated us in public. Should we laugh it off? Should we put up with the insults? Should we make ourselves look weak in front of so many people? No, 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 no. or attack him with more. Because we don't know anything else, that's how we saw it. We have learned to respond to those who swear at us with swearing. We have learned to feel anger, to hate, to keep our minds on the back burner to those who make us angry. What we didn't learn was exactly this. Events do not upset us, it is the meaning we give to them that really upsets us. Forgiving the offender is not condoning his behavior, but freeing yourself from the burden of resentment. It is a powerful act of self-love and a choice that ultimately benefits you, not them. The Stoics believe that real harm can only come from within, from our own imperfect judgments and misguided reactions. A person can insult us, but they cannot injure our true self, our capacity for virtue, unless we allow it. To take an insult personally is to give the insulter power over our inner peace. They were not suggesting that we become doormats, but that we learn to distinguish between external events and our internal reactions. The power lies in that critical space between the trigger and our reaction. Being indifferent, or rather controlled, does not mean being weak or letting the other person win. Forgiveness is not condoning the other person's behavior, and it is certainly not for their benefit. It is about freeing ourselves from the corrosive grip of anger. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to get sick. Forgiveness is the ultimate reward you give yourself. It is not an act of weakness, but an exercise in deep freedom. You free yourself from attachment to another person's bad behavior. This does not mean that every insult should be ignored. There are times when a firm but calm response is necessary to set a boundary or to defend someone. The Stoic approach is never about passivity. It is about choosing responses that align with your deepest principles and ultimately contribute to your own well-being. Stoics did not learn to ignore emotions, they learned to master them. They understood that the greatest battlefield is not with those who wrong us, but within ourselves. This battle is for our own integrity and our own happiness. When anger flares up and you hear only a war cry and not the soothing melody of your inner voice, you do yourself the greatest harm. If you pause for a second, step back, put your logic before your emotions, you honor your inner voice. Every successful act of this self-mastery feeds your inner voice. In essence, you are training your logic like you train an athlete. With each contest you win against your inner turmoil, the voice of wisdom becomes clearer and stronger. You learn to distinguish between the fleeting impulses of passion and the quieter but more insistent call of who you really are. Let me tell you the story of Marcus Aurelius, who carried the weight of an empire on his shoulders. As his private meditations reveal, he too was struggling with the chaos of his own mind. Yet between the endless demands of war and statecraft, he took moments to examine himself ruthlessly. Marcus Aurelius wrote of the battle within himself, the conflict between his higher nature and the appeal of his base instincts. He faced his anxieties, his moments of self-doubt, with a dispassionate eye. Yet this was not a cold detachment, but a profound act of love. It was about the love of wisdom and the desire to be the best version of himself. It is precisely in such struggles that our inner voice takes shape. We discover what we stand for not in moments of comfort, but during difficulties. Suppose a person never experiences hardship, their values are never tested. Would their principles be nothing but empty words? Their inner voice is only a fringe part of what society finds acceptable. Take a verse from the Quran, the only source of Islam. Many of us are Muslims, and today we use the term only as an adornment. We hope that by being Muslim we can attain the paradise promised by Allah. But Allah says in the second verse of Surah Ankabut, do people think that they will be left with just saying, I believe, without being tested? As in this wonderful verse, it does not matter what we think or what we say. What matters is what we do. It is our actions that matter. The Stoic philosophy says don't despair because you are suffering. Because pain, when met with courage, can be your greatest teacher. We prove our strength to ourselves by overcoming difficulties. We gain confidence that we can overcome whatever life throws at us. And in this confidence, a quiet self-confidence grows. This confidence is not arrogance, but a well-founded awareness of your own resources. Think of a skilled sailor sailing through a storm. They don't deny the severity of the storm, but they don't despair either. They trust their knowledge of the sea, their ship, and their own abilities. Similarly, as you learn to navigate the storms of your own emotions, you begin to trust the rudder of your logic. You develop an inner certainty that even in the darkest hours you are not completely lost. There is a compass within you, and slowly but surely you learn how to decipher its guidance. This is a process, not an overnight transformation. But with every choice, with every act of honesty in line with your values, your inner voice becomes stronger. It becomes a trusted companion, an unshakable presence. Remember, the seeds of this wisdom are already within you. The Stoic philosophy is not about acquiring something foreign to your prayer, but rather about removing the debris that hides your true self. It is about cleansing. It is an act of revelation, of restoration. Imagine your inner voice as a spring whose waters are eternally pure and refreshing. Over time, neglect and the storms of life have thrown leaves and mud on its surface. To attain its clarity, you must work gently, patiently, removing obscure layers day by day. This work can take many forms. It is found in silent contemplation, in journaling, where confused thoughts find clarity on the page. It is found in conversations with trusted friends who reflect your best self back to you. It is found in acts of service where we step out of our self-centeredness and connect with something greater. And of course, in the study and practice of Stoic philosophy. Our writings are not just abstract theories, but tools honed over centuries to help cultivate wisdom. Every exercise, every reflection is a tool for cleaning the wellspring. The Stoics believed in living in harmony with nature. This goes far beyond an appreciation of the natural world. It is the understanding that human beings are intelligent creatures capable of both great goodness and great folly. Our flourishing, our true happiness, lies in developing our rational power to its full potential. When we live in accordance with our nature, we experience deep harmony. A harmony between who we are, the choices we make, and the unfolding of our lives. Our inner voice is the expression of this harmony. It is more a feeling than an actual voice. It is a deep sense of rightness, a quiet certainty that we are on the path that is laid out for us. Don't be discouraged by moments of doubt. Because even the most experienced travelers sometimes question their direction. The important thing is to keep moving forward, making adjustments when necessary, and always guided by the principles that light your way. The Stoics called this prohiersis, the faculty of choice, the only thing we really have under our control. Let your inner voice be a call to live each day with courage, moderation, justice, and wisdom. Sometimes it will be a whisper, sometimes a strong impulse. Listen to it, and your life will unfold in ways you cannot yet imagine. There will be those who mock you, those who ignore your newfound determination. They will see your striving for virtue as foolishness, your sincerity as weakness. Pay them no heed. Their own lives are built on shifting sands, and they fear the solid ground you are beginning to tread. And yes, there will be days when despair will whisper its insidious lies. It will tell you that your efforts are in vain, that the world is indifferent to your struggle. In those moments, remember the countless lives touched by goodness, the triumphs of the human spirit over overwhelming odds. Think of the heroes, both sung and unsung, who chose to light a single candle in the face of darkness rather than curse the night. But most of all, think of yourself. Not the lost and wandering you of yesterday, but the you that has yet to be. Visualize that person with startling clarity. A person of strength, compassion, and unwavering integrity. You carry within you the potential to be that person. Every act of self-mastery, every choice that affirms your values, brings you closer to that person. This, friends, is the true purpose of your endeavor. And that is why your inner voice, even if it starts as a faint whisper, carries within it the power to reshape your destiny and weave the fabric of the world. Imagine a world where every human being strives to live according to reason, where compassion triumphs over cruelty, where wisdom is cherished over ignorance. This is not a utopian fantasy, but a possibility born in the hearts of ordinary individuals who choose every day to live with purpose and virtue. Perhaps you think of yourself as small, insignificant. But do not underestimate the power of a single life well lived. One spark can ignite a forest fire. A single voice of conscience can awaken a crowd. The world may not always recognize your heroism, but that is not important. The real reward lies in the transformation of your own soul. You can make the most of this precious gift called life. It is to know quietly that you made the most of it, that you fought the good fight and left the world a slightly better place for having been in it. And when your last day comes, you will look back, not with regret, but with a deep sense of peace. You will know that you have answered the call of your inner voice, that you have remained true to the principles that moved your heart. And in those final moments, as the world fades away, a different voice will whisper, a voice both ancient and eternally new will invite you home. It will say, "This life you have lived is a life well lived." Even the ancient sages of 2,000 years ago, who who faced both the greatest glories and the darkest trials of life, must have wept at the thought of such a life. Now, stop looking back and go forward. Now silence those negative noises, those ominous whispers, and listen to your inner voice. The path is open before you. The choice, as always, is yours. Thank you for watching.